Hi, Sofia. Welcome to the show.
Hi, how are you?
I am good, as well as making the most of this opportunity to chat out with my friends, which includes you, and just
Mm-hmm.
have a conversation about our local music community and our experiences being part of that counterculture. And that's also the reason why I decided to call you up today and hear your thoughts about your experiences as well. Because to you, you might think, why me of all people? But whenever I go for a show, for example, and I have conversations with my friends and try to pick their brains a little bit, I learn something new about them every single day. And sometimes it's at the back of your mind, when you think about like a certain person and then they post like a new project or they want to say something on social media. And then you look at it, you're like, yeah, I remember having this conversation with this person. Oh yeah, I have some recollection about, this incident whatsoever. And now that we are still pretty much on the post circuit breaker slash phase one, phase two, and everything, things are getting back to normal, but it's still not out of the woods just as yet because we don't have any shows. We are not too certain what's the next gig coming up, and from the looks of some of the people that we know, everyone's getting kind of restless.
Yeah, me too, actually. Even though I'm quite a reserved person, but still an introvert, a reserved person still needs to socialize. That's our human nature.
I
Yep.
agree, and that comes in the form of attending local shows where everyone from all backgrounds and walks of life converge together to have fun and meet up with one another. But also at the same time, I remember one particular situation in which I teased you for being rock royalty.
Oh, right. Oh my God. ah,
And
so
all, yeah,
yeah.
and it all stemmed for the fact that I realized that your dad was in a band,
Mm-hmm.
I believe.
Yeah. He he is. I'm not sure. I don't keep up with my dad for this issue, but for what I know, yes, uh he is in a band called Rockers. A lot of the Malay metal heads know them, even in Malaysia, maybe Brunei, Indonesia. So yeah, he is very well known for being the guitarist in Rockers. Rockers, they are mainly influenced by King Diamond, Iron Maiden, Judas Priest. So yeah, heavy metal. So yeah, I've gotten recognized by people, especially when I go to Malaysia. Like, hey, this one anak rockers, a child of a rockers band member. Like, okay, like even right now, people still recognize me, especially from Malaysia. I think that's why you call me rock royalty. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's kind of amazing because most of us, we do not come from musically inclined backgrounds, so to speak. Of course, there are a few who do come from that. So to meet somebody who actually does come from a musical background, it is quite fascinating as well because I would imagine that growing up, your influences would be held by the fact that your dad would have, cassettes that are owned by him and you get to have full access to it. And this is back when social media was still not even there just as yet, or let alone like video streaming or music streaming sites like Spotify and YouTube, where in order for you to check out a band, you literally have to do your homework where you need to buy magazines or you have a family member who has access to such material. So for you while growing up, I I was just wondering like what were the first few bands that caught your eye immediately?
I'll say what I discovered on my own, not influenced from my dad or anyone else, is the first band is Bullet for My Valentine. Tears Don't Fall. Yeah, that's the very first song that got me into metalcore and all other metal genres. Yeah, and then from then I listened to Silverstein, post-hardcore. Uh, what else? Silverstein. Well, I cannot really remember. Like even Avenged Sevenfold, they have very nice guitarists actually. So that's how I got hooked onto metal as well. and also guitar. What else? Yeah, mainly metalcore, post-hardcore. That was my early stage of getting to know metal, and after that, heavy metal like Iron Maiden, Judas Priest, and then from there thrash metal like Creator, who else? Municipal Waste, and then black metal. What else? Black metal such as Marduk, Batin, Carpathian Forest. Yeah, and here I am, I guess.
But that's really fascinating as well because based on what you described, like some of these bands, the first few bands that you mentioned, these are like the very same bands that kids of our generation grew up listening to as well. And this is when these bands were prominent during our secondary school years, I would say.
Yes,
Yeah.
secondary school.
And you would think that, oh, just because someone in your family has like access to like the older material and everything, you would think that they would just stick to the traditional bands and be very fervent about bands in the 80s and 90s. But for you instead, like you decide to check out like bands that were emerging as opposed to just sticking to the usual like King Diamond, Metallica, Megadeth and whatnot, which is, I would say, is pretty surprising as an answer, I would say. Because most people
Oh,
would just say,
really?
yeah, because most people would just say that, because my parents have like access to all the tapes and everything, or like live DVDs and such, like this is what we grew up with and this is our diet, and they primarily stuck to their guns with just those. And more often than not, they'll be a little more hesitant to check out like the new wave of bands like Bullet for My Valentine or even Trivium, for example, because to them it's, how people are like, they'll start comparing and they go like, these bands, then they don't really measure up to what we listen to. But instead, you decide to do the opposite and you decide to give those bands a chance.
What people don't know is Bullet for My Valentine, Trivium, they're actually influenced by those 80s bands like Iron Maiden and Judas Priest. If you're really analytical about their music, some of their riffs were actually, you can really hear it, they are inspired by Iron Maiden and Judas Priest.
I agree. Unfortunately, Zabin is not here because if he was here, he'll give us like a technical breakdown about Trivium at its very, very fundamentals. But since our dear friend is probably testing out new pomates, I would give my perspective and
Yeah.
and say that when I listened to Trivium, I was immediately taken in by them because they have elements of the throwback dance and somehow they incorporate it into their music. And you find it really hard to pinpoint as to what they're influenced by because there's a bit of this, a bit of that. And yet they managed to come up with material their own.
Yeah. I think that's how music evolves like every decade. Like 80s is this sound, 90s is this sound, in the 2000s is this sound, and in 2010 onwards, that decade is this sound. Like if you realize every decade has their own unique sound, I think that's how music has evolved with bands coming up every year.
And every single release, and it really helps when you
Yeah.
have a lot of social media platforms for these bands to showcase their material as well. Although to be honest, I would say in the last few years I'm finding it very hard pressed to think of a band that really caught my eye, because I guess as you get older you start branching out into like other genres of music where when you're a teenager and you're like in your 20s and such, you are still heavily influenced by that core fundamentals of what you listen to. So for example, like if you listen to metal, you listen to thrash metal, black metal, death, extreme, or even like folk metal. And then in your 20s, you start like branching out even further and try to find out more bands who play that kind of music. But then at some point, you will hit a stage where you decide to go a little easy and go like, man, I can't listen to too much metal and rock every single day, man. Like I need a bit of variety. So
Yeah,
for
that's what happened. Yeah, that's what happened to me like 2-3 years ago, where when I discovered some pop music which actually sounded very good, and then I started YouTubing about them, like how is it made that way, it got me very curious why pop music sounds very catchy, why it appeals to the mainstream audience, and I started being very theoretical, analytical about it. Yeah, I like to find out what happens behind the scenes in the music because that's very interesting. That's part of me appreciating the efforts of people behind the scenes. Yeah.
And you're right to say that as well, because people tend to thumb pop music down or mainstream music down just because of the name or the success that they have attained. But I feel that there are some artists that you should really listen to the themes that they are expressing and how they arrange their music in order to do so. So we're going to use some of our friends as examples and what are their guilty pleasures. So if they happen to listen to this, I'm sorry. So for example, like Tina loves Taylor Swift.
Mm-hmm.
You love, let's see, I didn't get this right. Shawn Mendes,
Yes. Like,
right?
oh my god. Yeah.
There you go. See, and I love wait, let's talk about Robin. Robin loves Blackpink.
Yeah, there are a lot of guys who love K-pop groups. That's okay, interesting. I haven't ventured out into K-pop groups yet.
Neither have I. I have the luxury of listening to some of these artists, but to put it honestly, I'm not really a fan of it because it is not the kind of musical arrangement that appeals to me. But even for myself, I love Lana Del Rey because of the
Mm-hmm.
whole like throwback feel and some of the lyrics that she expresses in her music can border on very dark themes, and actually it's also more ingrained in reality, and that's why I'm so hooked into her music. And she has a very good voice. And also most recently I've listened to Orville Peck, who is a, how do I describe this? He dresses up like as a cowboy, but he wears like a mask with tassels. And he sings
Sorry,
about,
what's the band name again?
his name is Orville Peck.
Oh, okay.
I'll probably send you a link later or something. But he sings
Okay,
like,
yeah.
yeah, like Americana stuff and whatnot. And I like that kind of music because it reminds me of guys like Elvis Presley and Johnny Cash and those country singers, you know. It's a nice throwback feeling. And yet you have this kind of artists that are popular in this day and age where you would think that a genre like that would just die out.
Maybe I can say one of my favorite pop rock bands that I'm addicted to right now is 5 Seconds of Summer. You should check them out. They're actually in their 2014 era. They're actually a very pop punk band in like mainly influenced by like Blink 182, Green Day, and then on to their third album, they are influenced by so much pop, like 80s pop, like ABBA. Okay, ABBA is 70s actually, but you know, ABBA was one of their influence. Even Duran Duran, they took one melody of a song and then they make it into their own song. And also their latest album right now, they just released this year. They are influenced by 80s pop, like Depeche Mode, Tears for Fears, and even Nine Inch Nails. This is 5 Seconds of Summer. That's what I find it interesting about this band. They are so inspired by so many range of bands, and the music is very, how to say, impressive.
You had me sold. I need to check this band out right away, man. Because
Yeah, yeah.
it sounds really fascinating. Like mostly since you mentioned about influential bands like Depeche Mode and Nine Inch Nails and the like, and you would think that, man, these are like cult classics, man. There is no way that bands like this will be referenced in this like day and age where everyone's just having the attention span of like maybe 15 seconds. But to have a band such as 5 Seconds of Summer, if I got it right,
Mm-hmm.
referencing such artists into their music and have it incorporated in their style of play, it makes you want to check them
Yeah.
out, you know.
Yeah, I think you would do that after this, I guess.
I will. I'll definitely will,
That's
because
great.
I love listening to new music, man. And through like friends such as you, I check out like some of these artists as well from time to time. So it may not necessarily be metal or rock, but it could be anything that I feel my friends might have a good taste for, and I'll check them out. With the exception of K-pop,
Mhm.
because I am definitely still not a fan.
Oh well, yeah.
That and baby metal, because I still cannot get my head around it. There's still a bit of the argument where they say that, like you should take baby metal seriously and everything, but my honest viewpoint is that I can understand what they're doing and I respect their craft, but unfortunately I do not feel that is my kind of music, and I just say it as such instead of going to like the internet and just creating one huge ass like debate, because I haven't got the time for that.
Yeah.
But that being said, why do you think that some people take so much time and effort just to argue about trivial things like this, when in reality all of us should just coexist and enjoy the music?
I guess they are close-minded. I guess. Uh, or they just have the time to argue. Some people like to argue if you don't know. Like some people, they really like to talk. They like to argue. They like to be right. Uh, I think that's just part of their personality. What can we do? Yeah.
And it's a bit of misfortune because like I don't use social media that much until recently when this whole pandemic happened, because technically I don't use it for work, like social media work. But when I log in and I see like a long essay like talking about how we should preserve the sanctity of metal music and everything, I'm just like, my goodness, man. Like the same can be said about you maybe 10 or 15 years ago when you first started getting into the music, because the older generation would have said the same thing as well. So why do you want to continue that vicious cycle?
Some people may not realize that metal in the 80s, 90s, every decade, they are also evolving like pop. Like even pop, they are evolving. Metal also is evolving every decade. Some people may not realize that. So I guess we just have to be more open-minded, more accepting of new ideas. Yeah.
I agree with you. Even so, like we see bands such as Metallica making that crossover move to the mainstream, and even like the new wave of bands that we grew up listening to. I mean, if you listen to like the new Bullet for My Valentine, for example, or even what was that band? Let me think. Was it Suicide Silence?
Oh, okay. I actually don't catch up with that band.
There are a few bands I would say like around, even like
Mm-hmm.
in the 2000s and the 2010s, even they have to evolve and they sound more mainstream, more catchy, because they want to evolve, and it may cost them some fans in the process, but ultimately, like if they feel that they want to go towards a new creative direction, then I think more power to them.
And also, I think because bands are trying to find their own sound. So if let's say this band, they're always constantly sounding like Iron Maiden or something like let me name another band like Metallica. If they are always sounding the same, people will get bored very easily. So I guess that's how they need to find new sound for their band.
I agree with you. Also, speaking of which, when you go for shows, for example, what are the few things that immediately catch your attention when a band performs on stage? Let's talk about just local bands in general, because you know with local shows, it's a kind of unforgiving situation in which it's either you're good or you're not. There is no like brand name that's being attached to your band.
Mm-hmm.
So for a general audience member, like if let's say a band comes on stage and let's say you do not really know them and start to perform, what are the few things that will make you want to stay, and what are the things that you say, this is a little too much, I should just step out?
One factor I would say is stage presence. I think local bands they know they are performing to a small crowd, but it's just the stage presence that can make the audience want to come back for more, or want to stay, or want to come back for their next gig. That's one, stage presence. And also how the band sound as a whole, as a band, because let's say like suddenly the drums are not playing in tempo and all that, the technicality of the music, it has to be on point seems too perfect, but it has to be what's the word? On point. I don't know what the correct word for it. On point seems very perfect, but yeah, on point. Yeah.
You'll take that for $200. Ding. But you're right as well. I would say for myself, like one of the things that I noticed, same as you, stage presence is very important because you need to have crowd engagement. Because the moment you go
Yeah.
on stage, even if you're an introvert or if you're afraid of public speaking, the moment you're on stage, you need to become a different persona altogether. I'm not saying that you should like dress up as dinosaurs and start performing, but at least showcase some sort of confidence. You know, you can be shy and awkward when you're off stage. I think that is fine, but when you're on stage, you need to command the presence of the crowd because there are so many sets of eyes that are watching on you. And that being said, I also feel that there are some bands when they perform, they tend to talk too much. So, for example,
Oh my god.
like you know how
Yeah.
in
Sorry.
between songs, yeah, like how in between songs they talk about like what 5 minutes and then they go on to the next song. But then by then like you already kill the momentum, you know, because people want to just listen to the next song. They don't listen to your poetry on stage.
I think new bands shouldn't talk too much. Because the audience don't know you. They don't know how to engage with you. They are very new, so the band is very new, so the audience won't know how to engage with you. So let's say if you are a well-known band already, like you have already some songs that most of their fans would know already, and then that's where they can use this talking part to engage with the audience. But of course, not too long, like 5 minutes. I think 5 minutes is still too long, but maybe 1 minute, talk to the audience, how are they, and yeah.
I would say within 1 minute tops, man, because honestly, like, you know, if I go on stage, which I've done like a few times, I just want to like get on with the show, you know, like I just want to capitalize on the momentum and just ride the lightning, so to speak, instead of be a downer and talk about how to thank like the entire world from my secondary school teacher to like my next door neighbor, that sort of thing. I think for that I'll probably save it for like the album liner notes or something like that. But also like, at the same time, like some of the bands that I've watched that caught my eye in terms of presence and having the total package would be guys such as Trubino,
Mm-hmm.
who definitely captures your imagination. Wormrod,
Yeah.
and most recently Mucus Mortuary, who
Oh
really
my god,
do
yes.
who really
Yes.
do a really great job in ensuring that you will not leave the mosh pit, so to speak.
Yeah, I agree with you. They are actually, they have very good stage presence. They know how to engage with the crowd, especially Jarvis. Shout out to Jarvis. Yeah.
I'll leave it like the thank you notes later, like Charles Jarvis. But you know that dude, like, you know, I've seen him perform for, wow, I think it's like almost a decade now, and he just raises the bar, man. Like from the first time I saw him perform with Zaganov and Samath Satanas, and then he
Wait,
had
what's
like
the band again?
Samath Satanas, the black metal band.
Oh,
He
oh,
had
okay.
two bands. He always had like two bands concurrently, man, for some reason. He has like too much time on his hands. And like over the years, like regardless of the lineup changes or like any new projects that he pursues, he has always maintained that stage presence and always coming up with like means and ways to entertain the crowd as well. And this is not even compromising on the music quality because the music is still good. But also I noticed at the same time, like he has made the effort to create a bridge between our community and the mainstream media. So as of late, you see
Yeah.
partnerships with, was it Rice Media? And
Yeah, Rise Media.
recently there was one other video that I saw that he did with a local independent news source. So as a fan of our brand of music, when you see that crossover, how does that make you feel seeing that one of your friends has, you know, making that effort to create this bridge between the two sides. Where it used to be a case where like when people look at rock and metal music, it's always like being thumbed down or seen as a very negative thing. But now more and more people are opening up to the idea of listening to rock and metal music.
I think Jarvis, he has passion. He has passion for metal. He has passion for, how do I say, what's the word? Socializing, getting people together. And I guess he understands why other people may not like rock or metal, and that's where he empathizes with these people. Like, okay, then he tried to engage with them. The that's the way he did it. Yeah.
And with not much clothes.
Oh my God. He I guess it's part of his personality to be funny, and like even his Instagram stories right now I watch occasionally. He is always very funny. It's just his personality. He likes to be fun. He likes to talk to people. Yeah.
But I suppose like in your view as well, like you would actually find it really cool to see more and more of these bands making it into the mainstream spotlight. I mean, let's not just talk about Mucus Monastery, for example. Like we can also discuss about Tribune, where Subhash did an interview with one of the print publications, I believe. Or even like Wormrod, where they made it to Glastonbury and being featured on CNA. Like when you see all of these bands making that crossover and giving us the spotlight, how does it make you feel as a metal fan, knowing that our kind of music is now being accepted gradually?
Makes me proud. Like, oh my God, it's just I can only say one word: proud. How do I elaborate on this? Like, it makes people curious, I guess. Like, curious why people like metal, why people like rock. And then let's say if they happen to like metal, and then that's good on them. We can have fun together.
Also, speaking of fun, you go to shows quite a lot, and more often than not, most of the time, I would say that you go for shows with like a bunch of friends. And I just want to hear like the background story of how you guys met and who are these people that you normally go to shows with.
Or I usually go with Tina. Tina is one of the first few metal friends that I've met since 2011, 2012. That's like, oh my God, that 9 years ago. Yeah, she's one of the a friendly person out of the bunch. Um, and also I was a very introvert person, very reserved, because I didn't know anyone else. I only started going to gigs 2011, and Tina was very friendly, and yeah, up till now we're still very good close friends. And she's one of them, and then who else? A bunch. I don't know who else to call out. Okay, like Zizi, she's also one of the first sisters that I met because of Iron Maiden in 2011. Like some of the guys at Home Club in 2012, and from then on I started going.
Shout out to Home Club. Oh wait, it's closed.
Yeah, yeah, and then from then on I started being more comfortable hanging out with them, and then that's when I started making friends on my own as well.
It's really cool to see when I go for shows and you guys are already there or like turning up glamorously late, and it just feels as though like you guys know each other since like childbirth or something, because everyone is just so comfortable around each other. And I think for example, like when I go for shows, sometimes I'll see you with like Tina, or even now even I'm stumped forward. So I'm trying to figure out who else goes for shows.
Yeah.
Well, Payan goes for shows as well. Alicia and like Siddiq and whatnot. And These are like the regular bunch of people that you always see, and this is something that I emphasized as well before. Like, even though like we do not get to see each other very often due to our respective commitments, when we go for a show, everyone just hangs out with each other as though like we saw each other like yesterday or something. And there's that natural chemistry which cannot be created just like that, you know. Like, this is not like your corporate party where you are being forced to socialize and trying to be on your best behavior. Like, I feel like at a metal show or a rock show for that matter, when you meet up with people, there's no reservations, and you do not have to worry about how you present yourself.
Yeah, I think it's because we have a common interest, which is metal music. That's how we can connect with each other.
I mean, aside from a few black sheep, which I will not comment on because I have no interest in talking about them. By and large, like when we go for shows, everyone's generally like nice to each other and they take care of one another, so to speak. Especially if the friend of yours is Shantan. Shout out to Shantan. But that being said, like aside from like local shows, have you ever been to overseas festivals as well, be it by yourself or with friends?
Yes, the most common one that everyone knows is Hammer Sonic. Me and Tina especially, we started going to this festival since 2014. Every year, like almost every not almost, like every festival that Hammer Sonic is organized, we're always there since 2014. But of course, unfortunately, because of COVID, this year is not happening. So yeah.
I think they're doing it.
Also, yeah, one.
I think doing next year, right?
January 2021. Yeah, so Hammer Sonic is one of the overseas concerts festival that I've been to. Another one is back in 2015. I was on a vacation in Perth. I managed to catch Silverstein, my favorite post-hardcore band, during their 10th anniversary of their, which album was it? Discovering the Waterfront album. That's like the best album they have. And to manage to catch the 10th anniversary of that album, that gig, it's amazing. After that vacation, I listened to Silverstein for 2 months straight. No other bands. That's how. This word called a post-concert syndrome thingy? Was it called PCD or something? Yeah, I had PCD for.
Post-concert depression, was it?
Yes. Yeah, post-concert depression. I had PCD for 2 months. 2 months straight. Silverstein, no other bands. Like, oh my god. Yeah, that was back in 2015. It was very fun. I managed to take a photo with the guitarist, Mark Russo. That's his name. Yeah.
So we're going to talk about Perth because recently I went to Australia as well. Okay, aside from the Toby Yugan meetup party, I took the evening off to watch Reckless Love, which is a Finnish hair metal band, which I love so much. And I realized that, you know, when you are watching an overseas show on your own, the environment is totally different, especially in Australia, because people in Australia in general are very outgoing and they know how to have fun. So when you were in Perth, like watching Silverstein, like what was the audience like on that day, if you can recall?
They were very, 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 very friendly. Like I remember after the gig itself, I saw the guitarist Mark. He was talking to a fan, so I just waited for him to finish his conversation, and then I can ask him for a photo. And apparently there was another fan who also wanted to take a photo with him, and then she saw me. I think there was a shout out during the gig. There was a shout out to Singaporean fans because there were apparently some Singaporean fans, other Singaporean fans as well during the gig. So there was a shout out, and then I raised my hand. Oh, Singapore, yeah.
Or you like take out the
Yeah.
flag, take out the flag, man.
No, I had no flag back then. Yeah. So anyway, some people noticed me. So this fan who was queuing up as well, she noticed me, and then I wanted to let her go first because she was standing nearer to the guitarist. And then she told me, "No, you go ahead. You flew here 5 hours to watch the scene. You go ahead." I'm like, oh my god, that was so sweet of her to say that. Yeah.
But
And
I
then
think
after
yeah.
after with I was there with my sister actually. After I took the photo with the guitarist, we chat a little bit. I was just walking around looking at the merch, I guess, and then there's this guy who approached us. They just being friendly, he wanted to invite us for drinks, but of course we don't drink. But yeah, but it's just him being friendly. That's the vibe I got from them. Yeah.
So it must be like really great to know that when you go for shows overseas, like there's always a Singaporean somewhere.
Yeah. Always.
And I think it's really cool as well. Like as fellow Singaporeans, when we go for shows overseas, if we were to meet like a fellow Singaporean, we get really excited as well because we'd be like, "What are you doing here, man?" Like I was expecting like a fellow countryman in Australia, for example, but and then you end up like having a conversation with them to like find out why they're here, how long they're there for, and you strike a friendship in the process. But along the same lines as well, like when we talk about Heaven Sonic and you go for the festival with the girls by and large, like what are some of the precautions that you guys take while going for overseas festivals?
Precaution, mainly for your belongings. Make sure your bag is zipped. Make sure it's locked. Because pickpockets, they are like anyone can just snatch away your belongings from you. Even if you put it in your pocket, like anyone can just reach into your pocket and just snatch and go away. And that's one precaution. Yeah, I guess that's about it. Precaution, and of course, behave yourself. Don't find fault with others. Yeah.
I absolutely agree with you on that because I think it's something that some people tend to forget sometimes. Not just Singaporeans, but concert goers in general. Like when they go for a festival overseas, they forget that they are a visitor, and they need to realize that certain customs are not the same as compared to your home country. And as a result, like there are cases in which you have incidents taking place and arguments as a result because somebody was behaving out of line and just being an embarrassment to themselves, you know. And and you're right, you know, we need to be very mindful about these kind of things when we go for shows, not just overseas, but even for local shows as well, because people are always watching, and when you step out of line, do not be surprised if somebody were to point it out to you and do something about it. And this is something that I notice sometimes with, I'll say like in our local community, it doesn't happen, at least to my knowledge. But I've heard like certain instances where people were behaving inappropriately or starting a fight and whatnot. And I feel like these are the kind of incidents that paints us in the bad light just where we are trying to show our local society by and large that we are not what they perceive us to be.
Yeah, I've heard that some instances fights happen because it's a personal reason. Because like for example, this fella has an issue with this fella, and then it just happened to a fight might have just broken up because of that in the mosh pit. Yeah, that's just um one of the examples that I can think of why people behave inappropriately. But yeah.
It's also kind of scary as well because like recently when I logged on to, I'll say mainly Twitter, because Twitter is like for some reason like the hotbed for gossip, and and some allegations have like come out, and thankfully it's not in our like rock metal community, but some other subgenres where guys were just behaving like lewdly and propositioning themselves towards the opposite sex, which I'm totally against, because I feel that when in our music community we should be taking care of one another, and we should always respect the boundaries that is being set. Um, in your personal opinion, what would be the best deterrent for these guys uh, from stop behaving in such a manner? Like, I understand that, you know, some of these guys, just because they think that they're in a band, they think it's some sort of big deal, but at the same time, like, I feel like the best way to prevent them from doing such things would be to show some sort of deterrent. And what would be your advice to females who encounter such guys who try to take advantage of them or try to blackmail them?
My advice to females who encounter this is to speak to a friend. That's important. Um, at least speak to a friend and let the friend know what had happened. Because sometimes if you're on your own, you can't think properly, uh, and you don't know what to do. You might act rashly or something. So speak to a friend. That's the most important thing. And then once you are once you are how to say, because some people are traumatized by this. So once they are like they are cooled off out of the trauma, the person who did this assault, I guess I would say assault, they need these guys need to be called out to let them know what they have done. Uh, how did these guys offended these girls? Uh, they need to know what happened, and they need to understand why these girls feel this way, because it's a very uncomfortable thing to happen. So yeah, they need to be called out. They also need to be aware. Being called out is one. They also need to be aware and to realize their mistakes, and also not to repeat them. Apologize and then not to repeat them.
I absolutely agree with you. And also in the very same vein, like with the guys as well, if any of them are listening to this, if you know that your friend is behaving inappropriately, please shut him down right away. Because I think with guys sometimes there's sometimes they're kind of fearful that if they were to say otherwise or they're not supporting their friend, they get ostracized or they get made fun of. And I think that should not be the case. If there's a transgression that's been committed at a point in time, you should always stand up and do what is right and not try to hide what your friend is doing, because when you do that, you're basically being his accomplice by covering up for
Yep,
him. And I think that's
I
definitely
agree.
not right at all. And I talk about this because it is something that I view seriously, and I feel like with the spate of stories coming out as of late, you know, it is a very worrying trend when I see things like this emerging, and you worry for your friends who may be, you know, it could be your girlfriend, it could be your wife, it could be your sibling, it could be someone related to you, or even could just be your friend. And you always worry that one of these days something might just happen to them. And it's always best to prevent such actions from taking place rather than it being committed. And I really do hope that our local laws take a tougher stance towards such behavior as well. Because I feel like, you know, it is one thing to just reprimand them and give them a slap on the wrist and say, "Oh, don't do that again," or just try to publicly out them. But there needs to be like some sort of punishment, because unfortunately in our society, punishment is, it seems to be like the only way to go in order for them to learn their lesson.
Yeah. some people say apology is only accepted when they learn from their mistakes. Yeah.
And I also say this because like we are the generation that are supposed to break the cycle and right all these wrongs and not be the continuation of what the previous generation encourages. And more so like with the controversy in which where you have like guys making like misogynist remarks and demeaning like fair sex, which I feel only adds to the problem because especially when you are someone who has some sort of mainstream presence or some sort of influence, some of the things that you say, um, it will influence your listeners, for example, and because they are so blinded by their support to you, they will just agree to what you say. Now, I'm not gonna name the source ahead because I have no full knowledge about it aside from what I've read. But I also think that if you are a adult male, you should not be calling your friends blood because that's just dumb.
uh, okay, yeah. Oh, well, no
Yeah,
comments.
that's just me saying because it is something that it needs to be addressed. Like because as gig goers, like we always want to ensure the safety of our friends and not
Yeah.
wanting any evil that falls on them. And thankfully, like with social media, sometimes like one of the good things is that there are instances in which people like act inappropriately or say something really stupid and they get called out on it. And I think that's already like a signal to tell would be transgressors that this is not the way to go. Because if you do that, people will find out. And also people are kind of done by posting stuff like that online. So
Mm, yeah, some people are not aware that their actions offend uh offend other people. They just need to be called out. Like even after they get called out, I still see some of them still sticking to what they want to say. Then I don't know what else to do. Yeah, if they're still believing in that way, then it's very hard for them to be convinced to 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 try to make them understand why we feel this way.
and that's also why I am thankful to the likes of Tina, for example, where she has no problem calling these people out or address these matters head on. And when I see it, I'll ask her like, who is this person or what are they associated with? And I need to know because I do not want to be patronizing whatever they do. And much less be friends with them because these are not the kind of friends that I want in my life. Because I know
That's
for a fact
true.
that I know for a fact that if you try to talk to them about it, they get very defensive or they'll try to justify your actions. And there's no guilt whatsoever. So it's always good that we have friends who are always on the lookout for such things. And then when they tell you or when they highlight all of this inappropriate behavior, it allows us to be aware and take note of who we should be careful of because it is a sign of worse things to come. And these are the kind of people that definitely do not need support in any shape or form, much less even if they have a band or whatever it is, if they're going to perform on stage. I am willing to take the risk of not watching them because I cannot be supporting such individuals. And I think this is something that we should all like take a strong stance on as well.
Yep, I agree with you.
And I also say this because I now have like nephews and nieces, and there's always got to be a point of time where they may be interested in the kind of music that I'm into. Very slim chance, I would say, but there's always that likelihood. The fact that my nephew listens to Slipknot, I think that's already like one little key indicator. But speaking of family as well, like for your siblings, like do they listen to the same kind of music as you do, or do they go like the opposite and listen to like totally different stuff or have different hobbies altogether?
Well, you know my brother, Sofia. Uh,
Yes.
yeah, he is actually he he and I were very close uh, during our secondary school years. Uh, we played guitar together. We what's it? That's a word, duo good guitar. Because Bullet for My Valentine and Avenged Sevenfold, they have very distinct guitarists where there are always harmonies. So we always play them together. So yeah, my brother, he mainly likes metalcore like August Burns Red, Killswitch Engage. I think he still listens to them. Yeah. And then there's also my sister. She is in a hardcore band right now named Fuse. She's the guitarist. Her name is Shafika, if anyone wants to know her. Shout out to her. She's, I think, across the room.
You just like drag her in and like, hey, come on, let's do this interview together. She'll be like, oh, what's going
No,
on?
I think she has plans. I think she has plans right now. Yeah, her band, I think, started in 2017, 16 or 17, and she's still active. Her band just released an LP. Hope I got it right. It's an LP called "This Segregation Will End." Yeah, so if anyone want to check them out, it's Fuse.
Actually, you should send me like the details later so that I can plug them as well.
Yeah.
But also that's really cool that you have siblings who are also somewhat like the same kind of music as you do. And let's say you say like, we still feel like you guys pretty much become like each other's first ever bandmate, so to speak.
What's the word? We have a term for it. I think bedroom guitarist. That's what we were. Yeah, bedroom guitar. We just play guitar in our bedroom, from our bedroom. Yeah. We just had fun.
I'll say it's really like cool that you have like a sibling that encourages you, or I'll be honest, you as a sibling. Like we just need a practice buddy,
Yeah, I think that's how we motivated each other to play difficult riffs, challenging difficult riffs, and it was fun also to play together.
And also, like that being said, we noticed like in some bands they have like their siblings in the same band as well, and the chemistry is just that natural because they are able to just play off each other. And I think that's the beauty of having siblings who are into the same kind of music as you do, because you guys can just read each other's minds like pretty easily.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
So did he like impart, or even for you, like, do you guys like impart that knowledge to your sister, or did she have to like figure out on her own?
I think we did a little bit, and she's also very adventurous. My sister Shafika, she's very adventurous. When she was on an exchange program 2 years ago to France, and then that's where she attended gigs over there in London, in France. That's why I know. And then when she was in a gig in London, she made friends. She was alone, by the way. So she made friends with this lady behind the merch booth, and then a conversation happened. And then after that, her band is signed under Quality Control. It's a UK hardcore label. Yeah, that's very adventurous of her to do that, and also very brave, I guess. Yeah, that's the word, brave.
So I guess if I were to see her the next time, I'll shout rock royalty as well. Okay.
Maybe, I don't know.
It's gonna be the same, man. Like, be it you or your siblings, I'm just gonna be like, yeah, rock royalty, man, what's up?
Oh well, anything you want.
But yeah, I think it's really awesome. Like when you see like our siblings engage in the same kind of passions as we do, and even if let's say they decide to go like one step further, like just being adventurous, like you said, and just having a conversation with the merch really, I think it goes to show that individuals in our local music community, they have the ability, the know-how, and now confidence to promote themselves and back it up with talent as well. And this is something that will be the blueprint moving forward, where it's no longer the case where we have to rely on the traditional print and print media to promote us, but now we have social media and digitization to act as our mouthpiece, so to speak. But to conclude, are there any final words that you would like to say?
Hmm. Oh well, maybe in general, I guess. Now it's phase 2, but still take care of yourselves. Take care of yourselves. Still wash your hands. Practice your habits. Uh, Hygiene. Oh my god, I don't know.
Use
Stay
kiri
safe, I guess.
use kiri kiri.
What's it?
Use kiri kiri.
Okay. I have it. Oh my god, I have it right
What?
here. It's so coincidental that you say, yeah, it's here, right here. Yeah.
You know, like
Stay safe.
on my last interview, like I spoke to my guest saying that my objective is to maybe get mainstream sponsorship for the show.
Oh.
So maybe if I were to throw like a couple of brand names around, maybe one of them might just notice. So what I did was like the last episode I did with Fias. I mentioned Indomie quite a lot. So again,
maybe for Sharik, maybe from Sharik, a biryani sponsor, maybe.
yeah, we'll be working towards that, man. So again, Indomie, if you're listening to this by any chance, I just want you to know that I love your products. In fact, I buy 10 at one go. And my favorite at the moment is the Miache, which is really awesome.
Cool.
So if you are like having other like instant noodle brands in your household, please consider switching to Indomie, man, because you gotta support your neighbors.
Well, I'm not really an instant noodle kind of person. But yeah, Indomie, everyone. Recommended by Dalif himself. Yeah.
Indomie and teh botol, man. Here's the
Oh,
spot.
yeah, teh botol. I love teh botol. So yeah, teh botol.
Let's say I'm gonna get my sponsorship right away. Anyways, Sofia, thank you so much for coming on and having this very informal, even though it got a little serious kind of chat.
Oh yeah, I didn't expect the conversation to go that way, but yeah, thank you for having me.
And I appreciate all of the input that you provided and the thoughts as well, because these are very pertinent things that we discussed. But at the same time, above all else, I just want to say from the bottom of my heart that you've been an amazing friend. You are one of the most sensible people that I've ever known. And
Thank you. That's very nice of you to say that. Yeah, you have been a good friend as well. Great friend. We need to catch up on our corporate lunch after maybe when we in phase 3, maybe when we start going back to the office.
Yeah, totally, man. Let's do that,
yeah.
man. So I'm gonna let you run off to do more important things. And you know what? Again, thank you so much, and I'll see you soon.
Yeah, thank you. Yep. See you.
Bye.